Okay. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming. Today, I'm going to give you a speech on should we do away with testing and labels. I'm currently enrolled in Park University, and my class is Introduction to Human Communications. Have you ever felt extremely down on yourself after walking out of a test, knowing that you knew the answers, you studied really hard, and then you still walked out with a fail or even a lower score? What makes it even worse is that you put all that time and energy into it, and now you fear that your classmates or your peers or your co-workers are going to look differently upon you and label you as someone who's not smart. I myself am extremely credible in this area because I have the worst test anxiety. It doesn't matter what it is. I'm constantly stressing about everything. I can study, I can write down notes, I can do step by step, but when I go in to take the test, I start to panic, I start to freak out. Those of you that know me well, I get it really inside myself, and then I end up screwing up, even though I know the answers. When other classmates or even teachers choose to label students based off their exams, we are actually potentially limiting their ability to learn. It creates an environment where a student can start to perceive themselves as insufficient and not to be able to complete the task that they are given. They're put in high stress situations that can often cause a student to freeze in the middle of the exam, and this is what we call test anxiety. So before I tell you a little bit about test anxiety, I want to tell you about a small child named Mike. He was around 12 years old. He was a bright, diligent student. One day he came out of a test and he was slumped over in his chair. He was staring off into the ceiling, and he had just taken a test that he knew the answers to. Somehow he scored at just a basic level grade. His teacher wasn't quite understanding what was wrong with him, and so he asked him to leave the classroom. He stormed off and he kind of threw his chair, and the teacher was like, "What gives? You know, what's going on? Why are you so upset? This is not normal behavior for you." He began to tell her how much he hated these kind of tests. He knows the material very well, but when he takes a test, he kind of panics, he freezes up, and then ends up with a bad test score. It was then that the teacher decided to redirect how she taught him and how she would be giving him tests so that he wouldn't fail his next test. So now you kind of know a little story about Mike and how he has test problems. I just want to give you a rundown of what test anxiety actually is. It's a psychological condition in which experience extreme distress and anxiety in testing situations. While many people experience some degree of stress in their lives or during exams, test anxiety can actually impair learning and hurt your test results. Some of the physical symptoms are sweating, rapid heartbeat, dry mouth, fainting, and even nausea. Some of the emotional side effects are depression, low self-esteem, anger, and a feeling of hopelessness. Some of the cognitive ones are fidgeting, avoiding the test, and in some cases, students do drop out of school. Because this occurs way more often than we realize, I strongly believe that if a student performs well in class, shows that the student performs well and knows the material, and continues to academically fail their tests, research should be done to find out why students and give other options towards something other than exams, like the other teacher did with Mike. So now that we are kind of gone over test anxiety, I would like to tell you some statistics, and this is where my slideshow comes in. Up here in the left-hand corner, it shows you the light blue and the dark blue from 2001 till about 2007. The dark blue is considered your test anxiety, and then your light blue is considered your average test taker. Nowadays, it goes to show that anxiety has risen well above your average test taker. So it's becoming more and more frequent. This one down here is how anxiety starts to peak when taking the test. You kind of start low down in the green area, and then you're going to work your way up to where you form that hump where you really start to get in your feelings. And then by the time that peaks, you're going to start to hit a slump, and that's kind of where you burn out and you don't continue to do well in your test. It was said that there was a study done by Healthline.com, that from the age of kindergarten to even PhD candidates have test anxiety. It was also said in 2010 that 10 to 40% of all students, their test anxiety follows them into adulthood. I feel that we should have an overall goal to redirect exams altogether, possibly figuring out a better option for those that do not test well. I hope while giving this speech, and you're currently enrolled in school, and you have come to realize that you too may have test anxiety like myself, and are caught in the never-ending labels that come with it, that we can continue to fight the good fight and find a solution that will be better for all of us. Thank you.
Woo!